And you know, sometimes I'm not going to shield the Focus Blast. Not everybody shields it like they did in the last matchup. So I'm going to throw the Focus Blast here. This is going to go unshielded, knocks out the Melmetal, boom. That's what you like to see. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we do upload PvP content in Pokemon Go, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Tianyuan Zhang, thank you for the support. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Mewtwo in the lead position, going to be pairing up with Melmetal and Dialga in the back. Now obviously, first glaring weakness to this team would be Groudon in the back, gonna dispose of Melmetal and Dialga, so hopefully we could avoid those, or in the worst case scenario, align it with the Mewtwo somehow. Obviously Mewtwo in the lead spot is gonna have 2 shields at its disposal for every matchup, so in general it should perform pretty well, but we're gonna take a look at some of those matchups in this video, set of 5 battles that we go 5-0 in. So let's get into the first battle right now. So let's get into these battles. First matchup here against the Nameless King in match number 1. And we're going to be leading Mewtwo into a Landorus, so a very uncommon lead here. And Mewtwo's going to have a pretty good matchup there, so opponent's going to switch up into Dialga. What I'm going to do here is overfarm a little bit, then bring in the Melmetal. Obviously Melmetal into Dialga is an amazing matchup for us. So I'm going to let the opponent throw first so that I'm getting hit before I debuff myself. It's only an Iron Head, so that's amazing for us. Going to build up here for 2 superpowers, and I'm not going to bait here, just going to go straight for the superpower on this first. So let's see if the opponent chooses to shield here. Then you're going to let that go through. And at this point I could have considered actually going for a Rock Slide here instead of the superpower. Probably farming up a little bit more, just throwing the Rock Slide. But I did throw the superpower there, so Landorus comes back in, gonna throw this Rock Slide now, and it's not gonna do much because we've been debuffed twice now on both defense and attack. So I do switch into the Mewtwo here. Was expecting to throw, but he didn't. So in case he was going for a very aggressive farm down there, I switched into Mewtwo. Gonna throw this Psystrike. It's gonna get the first shield here from the Landorus. And I'm gonna let this go through. It's an Earth Power, it does a lot of damage. We are going to get to another Psystrike here. Opponent is going to switch out into Melmetal to absorb this damage. So this is actually a pretty bad situation for us to be in here. So it looks like we're going to get farmed down. Not optimal, obviously. So he has a Landorus there, which has relatively low health. And he's going to bring... I'm going to bring in my Dialga here. So I'm going to preserve the shield here. Because I have 2 shields, I'm expecting the bait. That's why I didn't shield here. He does not bait, goes for the superpower. And basically at this point I know I could double shield now, and most likely I should be able to knock out the Melmetal here. So I'm going to throw the Iron Head here. I'm just trying to get the last shield at this point, and the opponent is going to actually let that go through, so that's going to knock out the Melmetal. Brings back into the Landorus. I'm going to farm up here trying to get to this Iron Head. He's actually, or we're going to lag a little bit there, as is typical in GBL. So he's going to throw here. I'm actually going to shield this up and switch out into the Melmetal and throw the Rock Slide. It's going to get the shield. But this is actually going to give the opponent the opportunity to farm me down if he wants, because I believe he'll be able to farm me down before I could get to another Rock Slide. So thankfully the opponent does throw here, and this is pretty much going to give me the game because I could just get this Iron Head. I think the correct play for me here was to have actually shielded with the Dialga, thrown the Iron Head after that to get the shield, and then switch out into the Melmetal to throw the Rock Slide, which will win me the game. I still ended up winning, but I made it a lot more risky than it had to be, and the opponent, I feel, definitely could have won that match if they had farmed down the Melmetal there instead of throwing. But they probably did not know how much energy I had. So next matchup, Groudon into Mewtwo here. This is a pretty good matchup. I like to see this. So I'm going to build up. He does switch out, so I'm going to have 2 Psystrikes here, and he's going to bring in Kyogre. So I'm going to throw 1 Psystrike here, and imagine that I would switch out into Dialga. I actually wasn't expecting him to let that go through. Because he let that go through, I guess it would make sense to switch out anyways, but now he's going to be able to bring in the Groudon here. Hopefully I could get to the Iron Head. When he didn't shield with the Kyogre, I guess there was an opportunity there for me to throw the second Psystrike and either KO the Kyogre or just let it go down. But this is fine too. We have a Psystrike ready in the back for this Groudon. So I'm going to bring in or he's going to bring in Groudon here. I'm going to throw the Iron Head. It's going to get the shield. And at this point, it doesn't matter if it's Earthquake or Fire Punch. I'm not going to shield here. The Dialga's kind of dead weight at this point. So I'm going to let that go through. Unfortunately, we will not be able to get to an Iron Head. So this Groudon has a lot of energy. Obviously, I can't bring in Melmetal, so I'm going to have to bring in Mewtwo. But Mewtwo with 2 shields in this situation is pretty good. I have the Psystrike ready. And because he has so much energy, he's definitely going to have to shield here. So this is going to put me at a 2 shield advantage. And you know Mewtwo with 2 shields is literally golden. Very little that's going to beat it. So I'm going to shield up this Fire Punch. At this point, I have to pretty much shield up anything, even though I know they're Fire Punch, just because Mewtwo is quite glassy. And I need to preserve health on it just to ensure that if he has something like a Dialga in the back, I could Focus Blast that and KO it with that one move. So I'm going to throw a Psystrike here. It's going to knock out the Groudon. Opponent's going to bring in a Melmetal. This is not what I wanted to see, especially with shields down. So I'm going to switch into Melmetal to absorb this damage, just to ensure that my Mewtwo could get to that Focus Blast later in the match. And by putting the Melmetal mirror match there, it ensures that in order to win, he has to debuff himself. And by the time that mirror match ends, even if he were to win that mirror match, the Mewtwo could come in and pretty much just Psystrike at the health that's going to be at, and I would be able to start a Rock Slide at that point because he'd have to like triple debuff himself or something to win that match. So we take that, heading into match number 3 here. I believe it's against Cola Coke Red. So Melmetal lead, not optimal. The way I usually tend to play this is, well, in this case I'm going for the Focus Blast, and let's see if they shield. The opponent does shield here. I usually take both Rock Slides without shielding, and you're going to survive this. And I find a lot of times when you do this, they switch out into their Dialga, as you see here, to try and farm down the rest of your health before you could throw the energy or before you could realize that they switched. So I had the switch tray ready expecting that. Bringing the Melmetal, obviously an amazing matchup for me to be in here. We're up the shield. So opponent goes for Thunder, totally fine. Gonna have Superpower here, gonna throw this first one. And this is going to do a lot of damage, goes unshielded. Obviously, opponent doesn't want to go down 2 shields. Going to build up here for another 2 superpowers. Going to throw this first one. I'm debuffing myself quite a bit, but it's fine. Would expect Melmetal to come back in here. And I'm going to throw the superpower right away. So we are extremely debuffed. At this point, you could pretty much knock us out with Rock Slide. Maybe you could even farm down if you really wanted to get aggressive. And it looked like he was considering it, but he does throw his CMP tie. I'm gonna let this go through because there's no point for me to shield here. Even if I got off that superpower, be debuffed 3 times at this point. So I bring in Mewtwo. He switches out into Dragonite, which I'm totally fine with. Don't mind getting this Psystrike damage off onto Dragonite. And now I could bring in Dialga here. Farm this Dragonite down. And basically with this Melmetal being as low as it is, all I have to do is throw the Iron Head here. If this does get the shield, I have 2 shields to work with in the back. So we should be okay here. And he actually let that go through, so at this point he basically gave me the opportunity to just farm him down. I could just shield whatever he throws and commit to a straight farm down here. So the only way I could lose here is basically if I stop using my shields. And actually I did not use the shield there. But I knew that superpower wouldn't KO. I should have shielded it anyways actually, just in case the game glitched out and did KO me. So 3-0 heading into this matchup against Ash Side. Name looks very familiar actually. Not sure if I know this opponent or not, but I have faced this opponent before, so we see another Melmetal lead. And I think I'm going to play this out the same way as I did the first time. Opponent's going to throw the Rock Slide here, not going to shield this. And I guess I'm going to go for the Focus Blast again. And you know, sometimes I'm not going to shield the Focus Blast. Not everybody shields it like they did in the last matchup. So we're going to throw the Focus Blast here. This is going to go unshielded, knocks out the Melmetal, boom. That's what you like to see. So at this point, opponent's going to bring out Gyarados, which is quite the spicy pick for Open Master League. This is not a Premier Cup team obviously because he did have Melmetal. So I'm going to throw the Psystrike here, it's going to get the shield. Looks like he's committing to the farm down here, which is going to allow me to get to a second Psystrike here. So this Gyarados is going to be taking a lot of damage here. Lets that one go through. And at this point, I'll probably bring in the Melmetal here to absorb the damage and commit to a Thundershock farm down. So I do bring in Melmetal here. Probably going to shield this one up, just in case it's some crazy move like Hydro Pump. Opponent switches out into Mewtwo. Okay, so this isn't the best situation because obviously Focus Blast could hurt my Dialga in the back. So I'm going to leave the Melmetal in here. And I guess we're going to find out actually if he has Focus Blast or not. Because I'm going to throw these Rock Slides before he could get to Focus Blast. And if it turns out that he does have Focus Blast, that's going to be good because then I'll know that for my Dialga. And whether I have to use my shield or not. So taking a check here. Wow, it was a Focus Blast. Actually did not KO. Not sure if that was an undercharge. It possibly was. So I'm going to definitely shield this here. Even though this looks like a Psystrike, have to shield this up. Don't want to take any chances. Farm down. And opponent actually backs out. So we take those. Very happy with that right there. And we're going to move into the next matchup here against the Trav Pete. And I believe this is the 5th match of the set, currently 4-0. And we're leading Mewtwo into Kyogre. So Mewtwo into Kyogre is actually, I believe Kyogre wins this match in the 1 and 2 shields, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe a lot of this actually has to do with getting in extra cycle cuts during the waterfall animation. Because when I run this simulation on PvPoke, Kyogre does win the 1 shield, quite convincingly actually. And as you're going to see here, I actually get to 3 Psystrikes before he gets to his 2nd Surf. And basically what happens here is that on the 2nd Surf and my 3rd Psystrike, we actually CMP tie, which means that I'm going to be able to throw this Psystrike before he's able to throw the Surf. And I actually end up winning the 1 shield matchup, which shouldn't be the case. Didn't look like there was any lag there or anything, so I think it was just a case of me getting some cycle cuts in during the waterfalls. And here we face some typical GBL lag. And opponent's going to throw here. Gonna let this go through even if it's a Draco Meteor. It's totally fine because it's not going to KO. It is a Draco Meteor. Opponent's gonna switch out though into Melmetal. I'm okay with this too actually. So I'm gonna throw the superpower here. And this is not going to get a shield. So I'm gonna throw another superpower. And if the opponent chooses not to shield this one too, we're gonna be in an amazing spot here. He does shield. So I'm gonna bring in Dialga here. I know I could tank at least 1 superpower here from the Melmetal, so I'm not going to shield the first one, knowing that I will survive this, although that's the one that's going to do the most damage. Happens to bait me with the Rock Slide, so that's actually going to allow me to take complete control of this game, and I'm actually going to be able to Iron Head here before he throws another charge move. So we actually ended up beating Melmetal there with pretty much a full health Dialga. And in this situation here, even though we're lower health, because I have the shield still, I could shield whatever he throws at me and just throw the Draco Meteor to knock out the opposing Dialga, and we're going to take that match and go a perfect 5-0 in that set, running Mewtwo in the lead. Pretty impressed with this team. Obviously not the best team, and I did run into some pretty good leads there, but overall I think Mewtwo in the lead is definitely something to test out. I think Focus Blast is kind of necessary for the Dialga and Melmetal leads, but let me know what you guys think of Mewtwo in the lead. And we do go up about 65 points here. Obviously not getting the 95 to 100 points some people are getting, but we're going to take those regardless. So that was a set of 5 battles utilizing Mewtwo in the lead. Personally, I think it performs really well, especially with 2 shields to its disposal. It could really hang even with the tough matches like Kyogre, Togekiss, Giratina. Because it gets to Psystrike so quickly with Cycle Cut and with the shields to protect it, it could win a lot of leads, even unfavorable ones. So it could put you in a good position to line up your back Pokemon. Obviously, this team is pretty weak to Groudon in the back, so if we run into a Groudon in the back, it's going to cause a lot of problems, but in this video we managed to avoid that, so it did help us in going 5-0 to be able to avoid the Groudons in the back. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.